Hey guys, welcome back to Around the Blockchain here on BitBoy Crypto. As you know, we always try to show you how to get your financial freedom through crypto assets. Seems to be a little bit more challenging these days. Thank you for bringing up the house lights there, BJ. What a spectacular entrance. Thank you. Again, my name is Justin. You can call me J Chains, hosting Around the Blockchain here on BitBoy Crypto. We got a great show for you today. Obviously, if you are tuning in, the markets are not participating in our favor. We're seeing a lot of double-digit losses around the board today. So we got a great group of guests and panelists. What we're going to be talking about. Obviously, we've got some topics that we had pre-planned, but when the markets dip as much as they are before we go live, I think we're going to change that a little bit and kind of just talk about market sentiment, how everybody's feeling, what they're thinking, and what we can expect maybe over the next week or so. But let's just get through a little bit of a housekeeping. This is Around the Blockchain. As you can see, everybody's got a little score down in the bottom right corner. If you are in the live chat and you like what they say, hit a +1, and we will get them some points. Whoever's got the most points at the end of the day will leave us with some parting words. Who do we got on the show today? We've got the Tom Crown. We've got a good friend in real life and on the show, RiceTVx. Always fun talking to you, Crypto Factor. We got Paul in the house. And then to wrap it up, the guy in the purple corner, Crypto Stache, the godfather of the NFT. Again, we got a great show. If it is your first time watching, thank you for joining us. What are we going to be talking about today? If we do get through our market talk, there are some other topics we can talk about: a MetaMask vulnerability, and then Robinhood opening some crypto wallets. But let's let's pop into Market Watch really quick, just to take a look and see what's going on. As you can see, like I mentioned before, double-digit losses all over the board. You got Bitcoin in 36,000 range. You got ETH well below 3,000, BNB below 400. Now, what's surprising is with all this sell-off, we're still seeing Tether at $1. Typically, that should go well over, but we're not seeing that. Tether's still at $1, so I'm not really sure, what's going on there. Cardano $1.15. If you've got capital, I mean, these are buying opportunities if you think the market's going to go back up and rebound. But these are all things that I want to talk to you guys about here on the show. So I think that we should probably get into it. Before we do, make sure that you hit the like button. And also down in the description of the video, we've got links to Tom, Rice, Paul, and Stache's stuff. Make sure if you've not already, head down there, follow those links to their stuff, and like and subscribe because these guys work hard for you. All right, let's get started here on this Friday episode of Around the Blockchain. It's a bad week. I think we've so far lost, let's see if we've pulled back up, 13% decrease on the global crypto markets in the last day, $1.7 trillion. Let's see, Stache, I want to come to you first. Talk to the people, talk to the BitSquad, talk to your community, talk to anybody that's listening right now. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you thinking?
Look, BitSquad, I love you guys. I've been here since the beginning. I'm the original BitSquad member. I don't know if you guys know this, but original, and me, Jay changed, some of the original OGs. But I love you guys just as much as I love everybody on my channel. And I'm here to tell you that everything is going to be all right. It really comes down to your time frame that you're looking at here. If you're a short-term trader, this is a horrible day for you. And I'm sorry. But we know that this was coming. We know that we were looking to enter a bear market here at some point. I think a lot of us really did think that we might have another leg up, and we still might. We still might not. We still might have another leg up back up to some higher highs for Bitcoin. But I do think we're going to see a little bit of bloodbath here, and I we may be looking at 30K, guys. I could definitely see it. There's not a lot of support at this like 35-ish, 37 level. If we can climb back up to 40 and kind of keep it around there this weekend, that might kind of save us from hitting that 30K drop, but it may be incoming. But I think that we'll probably see some relief after that if we do hit those 30K kind of like lows. I don't think Bitcoin is really going to go below that. I don't think anyone here believes it's going to go below 30K, but if you do, let me know. But I don't think we'll see anywhere below a 30K level. That's a real support level we've seen here last. And yeah. But what it comes down to is, once again, think about that time, that time scale that you're working on. If you're worried about these, small plays within 6 months, 1 year of what's happening with Bitcoin, just zoom back out and realize that if you don't sell, your investment is good. Don't sell at a loss, especially not at this point.
You don't lose money until you sell. All right, Stache, really quick. Now, one of the questions that I did have planned on this, and we obviously knew the markets weren't looking good when I was writing the show earlier today, but, right before we went on, things kind of tanked. One of the things that I was looking at is, if the week closes below 39.5, we should expect somewhere to hit that range of the 30 to 32 range, somewhere in there. But if we closed above that 39.5 range, we would expect at least a nice bounce. We're not going to see that anymore, right? We are probably going to close below the 39.5.
I think that's true. Yeah, I think that we're going to see, this close here below that level, and that definitely could signal a little bit more of a downside here for Bitcoin. Yep. But I mean, honestly, then you think about this too. It's a great opportunity to buy if Bitcoin is hitting near $30,000 levels. I mean, that's a massive buy opportunity. Not that right now wouldn't be a buy opportunity as well. But I mean, the really big, good buy opportunity that is very much, I would say, almost guaranteed is at 30,000 because we have a lot of support at that level. We've seen, multiple times here over the last year, and that's been that rebound point. So getting Bitcoin around that level, even maybe around 31, is a smart play for the long-term thinkers.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you. You hate to say that it's a buying opportunity, especially when things are not looking very optimistic right now. But if you've got
that's the best.
Yeah,
people they keep getting it wrong. I don't understand. People want to buy at like 50,000, 60,000.
Yeah.
What?
That's
how
you.
The higher it is, the more people are interested. The higher the price of Bitcoin, the higher the price of different cryptocurrencies.
It's a weird phenomenon, man. I don't get it. Does that happen in stocks? I'm not like super huge into stocks. But does it have like it's the same thing? Like
but
Tesla goes up, everyone's talking about Tesla. People are buying at the top.
Smart money.
Yeah,
just my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's a good opinion. All right, Paul, I'm going to bring you next to let everybody know what you're thinking, what you're seeing, kind of what your thoughts are with the state of the market, and then I will have a question for you when you're done.
Okay, so for a while now, for months now, since last year. I was saying that in the beginning of 2022, we're probably going to see the beginning of a bear market or a massive drop that will flush so fast or so hard that it will look like a bear market. The way I also said, if we break under the 40K psychological, it's probably going to go down lower unless we close above it. We haven't closed above it yet. Need some time to see if that's confirmed under, but we'll see. The chances are we're going to go down to the 30K level. Now, if we don't get a V-shaped recovery from there or a fast sort of pump up from there, then there is a chance we're going to be in a prolonged bear market, or we are already in a prolonged bear market. And chances are we might even go under 30K. I would even look at the 24K to 26K region. It's very possible. Now, am I saying this is going to happen? No, do not start quoting me and go exiting all markets and panicking, right? Don't do that. I did make a post on my channel, on my community post, to get out of all leveraged positions a couple of days ago. And I've been wanting to take profits for a while now. That does not mean I'm bear. All I'm saying is, sometimes these things happen. You have to be aware of it, and you have to be able to protect yourself. A lot of people will tell you, keep hodling. If you don't sell, you don't lose and all that. But I think they forget that a lot of people are actually investing, and they need that money. They didn't take that money out. Some people were depending on that. Now, should you be depending on that or not is a whole different story. You can tell people not to invest more than they're willing to lose all the time. But can you imagine you put in like 5,000 and you're up at 30,000, 30K, and you're like, oh my God, I can get rid of my debt, I can get rid of all that. And then on the way down, you don't sell and just keeps on going down. It's hard to sell. I think it's a lot harder to sell your positions in crypto than actually buying them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people tend to forget that. It's a lot harder to sell your crypto because you fall in love rather than buying it. Mm-hmm. And one more thing I want to like tell people, because I think this is a very big. I see a lot of people talking about the fear and greed index. Oh, we're in extreme fear now. It's okay. We should buy. This is like Peter Schiff is tweeting. Great. This is a buying signal. Everyone's scared. Let's buy. Yeah, that doesn't work in bear markets. In bear markets, that greed or downtrends, that greed and the fear indicator is going to be there for a while. Just like it is on the way up when when everything's, it's all in the green.
Yeah,
it keeps on going up, right? And people sometimes forget and get that mixed up. Anyway, I do want to tell you not to panic. I do want to tell you that nothing goes down a straight line. There's always a bounce. So if you want to get out, if you need to get out, you can wait. No problem. No reason to do it right now if you need to. I would personally hold to get out would have been a few days ago, right? And yes, this market will recover. Now, will it be now? Will it be in a few years? We will see. I'm not bearish. I still think we have one more leg up. I know it sounds crazy right about now, but I haven't seen confirmation of a bear market yet. I just haven't. We might be doing that big, massive drop that will look like a bear market. Let's see.
Yeah, I think you got a great point there. One of the things that you had said, like take your profit. The biggest question to me is that at this point, if you didn't sell in the 60s, if you didn't sell in the 50s, if you didn't sell in the 40s, why would you sell now? Because at this point,
well, no, not now.
Yeah, I know, because it's gone down so much.
Wait for the bounce up.
It could back up. It could happen at any moment. At any moment, it could happen. You just never know when it's going to be. So at this point, you hang on. Yep, absolutely.
We can at least try and revisit the 40K level. We're at least going to go to the 39K and test it again. It will bounce back up. It's not going to go down a straight line. It's just not.
Yeah.
But selling at a loss would be foolish.
I'll eat Stache's mustache if it does.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Rice, you're up. Tell everybody your thoughts of where we're at right now.
All right, well, I'll repeat that selling at a loss is definitely one of the most foolish things that anybody can do. And if you really truly just zoom out and you look at this for the long term, I mean, we are going up in the long term. Well, in the short term, it's not looking pretty. I'm not an active trader. So, I mean, if you are an active trader, this is definitely some very crazy territory. But for those who are not active traders, for those who look at this for the long term, just really truly zoom out when you have these situations. Just try to actually stay away from looking at the charts and actually go and live life and try to keep yourself distracted. Because when I first got involved in crypto and saw things like this, I mean, it really affected my mental health. And that's something that people need to take in consideration with this. People also need to think about why did you personally get involved in cryptocurrency? Because I really feel like a lot of what's going on right now is because of this uncertainty about the Federal Reserve, and really that should have all been priced in. We're talking about a 0.25% increase. It's not going to be the end of the world. And normally when news like this is said, it's something that people price in. And ultimately we are in an election year. And it looks like Democrats aren't doing great this year so far. So I don't see the Federal Reserve doing things to mess up an election year. So it really wouldn't even surprise me if all of this that we're going through is just more manipulation that's allowing for more institutional investors to get involved and get in at lower prices. I mean, I know that from a traditional stock perspective, people buy when there's blood on the streets, even when it's your own blood. And this is blood on the streets. So these are perfect buying opportunities, especially for people who are doing this long term and have dollar cost average strategies. Mm-hmm. And I'm not in this for the cha-ching change. I'm in this for the actual change. As I mentioned on other shows, I'm involved in decentralized cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, particularly because I'm trying to get away from the US dollar. I don't like what the fiat system has done to us, this debt-based system that has kept us as slaves, fractional reserve banking. All the problems that we're having in the world is because of the legacy systems and central banks, and Bitcoin was made for this to give us an opportunity to get away from it. But you have all this different things going on in the news trying to push down negative perspectives in many different areas, whether it's countries trying to ban mining or trading or holding or whatever the situation might be. You also have countries adopting Bitcoin. And this is something that is a threat to the International Monetary Fund. So the rest of the world, as far as the legacy system, the central banks, the governments, they're doing what they can. I mean, you finally now have Hillary Clinton coming out speaking negatively about cryptocurrencies. To me, that is showing the desperateness of that system, because you don't want important people like that mentioning these things to give it any validation. And now that you have like your Hillary Clintons and your other big politicians mentioning the threat of what Bitcoin and decentralized cryptocurrencies can do, it is a threat to their system, and they realize that. And we are in a battle, and people just need to realize the power of decentralized cryptocurrencies and realize what the US dollar has done to them.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you a question, Rice. Because I love your perspective. I loved everything you said. One of the things that resonated with me, and obviously, if you've been in the space long enough, you know that it is heavily manipulated. We had one hell of a week in crypto. We got Facebook, Instagram, going to do the whole profile picture thing with NFTs. You got Google getting involved. You got Charles Schwab saying that it's okay for investors to get in. You got the mayor of New York City taking his paychecks in Bitcoin and Ethereum. The news this week has been huge. How in the heck do we lose as much in the market as we do without manipulation? It has to play the biggest factor in all of this, right? These guys can get in at a better entry and then send it back up and everybody's happy again. Is that how you think it's going to play out?
100%. I mean, that's why I mentioned, I mean, I really definitely feel like this is a buying opportunity for the institutional investors. Everybody knows what's coming. If you look at the World Economic Forum's playbook, I mean, they've mentioned different cryptocurrencies that would be utilized in their system, Ripple and Stellar being two of which, or XRP. So, I mean, they are very aware of this, but now all the news, it seems like news doesn't affect anything anymore, but all the news that I've been seeing, and even we were going to discuss the idea of Robinhood and their custodial wallets that you can send and receive cryptocurrencies from. I was telling you before, this is adding to more tracking and tracing, because you're going to have all these different wallets that are going to be attached to your KYC, AML, to your identity, and they're going to be monitoring where you're sending and receiving funds from, and it's going to help with chain analysis tools. I was telling you about the mass hiring spree that the IRS is going on. They just recently announced that they are going to be hiring 200 attorneys because of tax schemes, and they're also planning on collecting over $400 billion in unpaid taxes. And I think a lot of this is going to be an attack on cryptocurrencies. So having your Robinhoods, having a custodial wallet that you do not have your private keys to, and you think you're special just because you can send and receive, all you're doing is giving everybody a little bit more information just to be able to track and trace you a little bit better. So that's just my opinion.
Absolutely. And I feel the same way, even about, putting your profile picture up on, Twitter or whatever. I mean,
well, you have to connect your wallet. It's verified to your ID. So therefore you've just connected a wallet to your ID. So you've just added more tracking and tracing.
Exactly. So as cool as an idea as it is, it's not what crypto was designed for. It's not what blockchain was intended for. So unfortunately,
neither was Lightning Network, if we're speaking about that, but just saying.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right, Tom. Sorry that you had to sit here for 20 minutes while I got through 3 guys, but
dang.
But
it's your... I didn't even realize. It flew by. It flew by. What's up, everybody? There's a lot of great stuff said here. I've just been reeling it all in. This all happened, 15 minutes before we went live. So I'm guessing everyone's freaking out a little bit. I'm going to agree here. Take a deep breath today. Never make an investment or trading decision in a panic, no matter what it is. Take time, go do something, get your mind off of it. Get in a comfortable mindset so you can make a rational decision. That's first things first. Second, I think we want to take a little look at the chart, because I do disagree with some things that were said and I agree with some. This is basically how I'm looking at it. We had a 55% drop last year from 65 to 30. At the moment, we've seen a 47% drop. That is not as deep. That is a lesser retracement. Now, I'm not guaranteeing or saying that, we're done here. We're not seeing really capitulation yet. Volume is up. It is looking better than it was. But I really think this is likely what people are kind of looking at. People have been saying head and shoulders since, I don't know, December 5th, and they're probably saying, I told you so. There wasn't a head and shoulders yet. Here's the danger. Is that test to 39.6. We bounced, we wicked, and now we've fallen below it. So we do have a neckline sitting at 39.6. I think it was Crypto Factor talking about 40K. That's close enough. That's a 1%. That's a wiggle room. Here's where I'm worried. I do believe. Yeah, psychological as well. I do believe we are going to see a bounce. We need to see some kind of relief. And the longer this is pulled down without that, I think the stronger that'll be. My danger is what happens at that 40K. If we see a rejection from there, now we have our entry on a classic head and shoulders pattern. That'd be the entry on the test of the neckline. And that does get ugly. I'm not here to spout doom. I'm just being realistic on these charts here. And if we zoom out, which is always critical to understanding, I can see this playing two ways. Go back to this chart here. We got two patterns, and that is our flat top. If we see some kind of low, we do get that ascending triangle pattern. That's classic. You just Google ascending triangle. This is what comes up on images search. So that's what I believe is going to happen. Now, there is one more, in my opinion, macro possibility going on here, and that's we come down a little bit past that 30K mark. There's a lot of stop losses, a lot of leverage positions were opened. It had plenty of time back here last year, and the good news here is we actually get another bullish pattern provided we don't fall out the bottom. And that is a broadening bottom. We saw that actually in a smaller pattern here in May, June, July. And it looks something like this. This is another classic trading pattern. And we do tend to see those break, back test the high trend and run to the upside. We got a lot to talk about. So I'm looking for a bounce here at 37.4-ish. I'd like to see today close above that. Below we have 35, and this is where I was going to disagree. Volume profile shows us there was a ton of traded volume. That makes sense. We spent tons of time there. If we don't see that close, I would expect a test of that 35-ish, 34.4, I'll call it. Losing that, and the bottom is looking crappy. We're looking at scenario 2. I would point that probably about 28K. Our Fibonacci extensions are showing us that pretty much from each bounce here. It's really written pretty solidly. So let's go into the doom scenario. We break that. We don't see that bullish buying. Here's our macro levels. We have our swing low, our yearly open-ish at 28.8. We have the previous all-time high at 20K. We have 13,860, which I yelled about back in 2020, and it never was back tested. Then we have 10,750 or 10,005, depends how you look at it. That is the critical, like, most strong support Bitcoin has. I don't see it trading lower than that. We can talk about 6K. I think we're getting a little fuddy there. That would be very unusual to see anything in that lines. I'm not done. I'm not convinced we're in a bear market. I'm still looking for one of those two macro patterns to play out. I don't really see this going any other way.
Yeah, I can tell you what, man, if we see 6K Bitcoin, I am selling some of the organs that I don't need to get some fresh capital.
I don't think we'll go under 20K in a bear market.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to go underneath 20K.
All right.
I don't think so. Maybe 19.
We have never gone. We've never gone below a previous all-time high like that, though, either, as far as I'm aware.
Well, and something else I wanted to add about the news.
Go ahead.
Something else I wanted to add about the news, about having good news and still going down. That is actually, to be fair, that is actually a sign of a bear market. Having good news and Bitcoin not breaking.
Yeah, but news has not been.
It did happen all.
It doesn't seem like news has been any effect at all since like maybe 2019. I don't think, because it doesn't. We've been in bear markets and got, or in what we thought were bull markets and gotten great news and still seen no change. So I don't think that
2018 was all good.
Affecting things as much as
I'm just saying it's one of the factors. It's one factor. You can't just take one thing alone. Just you have to add everything up.
Wait, would you say that's a crypto factor? Would you say maybe that's a crypto factor?
I would say
that's
factors.
Good plug. Good plug.
Hey, Stache, let me ask you a question now. So we've never seen a full cycle with NFTs, right? So we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, the value, your ETH value on your NFT is going to be the same, but that dollar value that equates to the ETH value is going to change. If we're using Ethereum as an example, would you say that right now, if you haven't sold your crypto, maybe it's the time, now is the time to get into some NFTs to preserve, or would you think stable coins is a better option if you say, you know what, I got to get out right now, I just got to do something, make some kind of move, change something? Would you recommend people get some NFTs and preserve their crypto or stable coin?
Man, you put me on the spot with that one, because you know how much I love NFTs.
Yeah, I know.
I would still say though that, if you're in that kind of desperate type of situation, that the stable coins is definitely the way to go. NFTs are great, but the problem there, and infinitely problem, is that there's way less liquidity. There's just less people that are buying and selling NFTs than there are, people to be able to match a trade with on an exchange. So, in times like this, it may not be the best decision. Now, if you're not like in a desperate position where like, oh my gosh, I need this capital, I'm trying to save what I have, and you can look at that. There may be some good opportunities to be able to buy some cryptos cheap, and then use that to sweep some floors on some of these NFTs that will hold some value over time. So it could be a good way to kind of to kind of go counter trend to what's going on in the marketplace, because we've seen NFTs, like I said, kind of hold that value. When Ethereum goes down, we don't see people then go rush to OpenSea to relist their CryptoPunks for 25 Ethereum less, because the market has dipped and they're trying to keep it at an equated value of USD. The market very much so goes upon the amount of Ethereum and not really equated to what USD the NFT is valued at the time compared to the charts. So
let me
that's always something that I thought was really interesting, because it doesn't happen on it doesn't happen on every blockchain either, because I would say in contrast on the Wax blockchain, because transactions are so cheap, or they're non-existent, there's no price for transactions like there's on Ethereum, people will do that. They'll relist their NFTs as Wax fluctuates against the dollar. And so I think that's kind of the nature of this chain, because you could do that and you don't have to pay the crazy fees. Now, if that weren't the case with Ethereum, I think
you guys are mentioning cryptocurrencies, you're mentioning NFTs, you're mentioning stable coins, but I mean, what about the idea of keeping your value by buying precious metals, for example? Because you can buy gold and silver with cryptocurrencies as well. So
nobody wants all that old ass junk. Get out of here, Rice. Nobody wants that old ass.
No, but
I'm getting gold. I'm gonna get a big Dookie chain with a giant mustache on it. I'm just gonna flaunt that bad boy. Look, I got this. I put my Bitcoin on.
Now, Rice.
I'll back Rice.
I'm just kidding.
Diversification is key.
I think gold is still a decent hedge.
Yeah, I mean it's a good hedge.
I mean, we keep talking about all these ideas of cyber attacks and grids going down. I mean, what happens if really we lose all of our power? Period. Things like gold and silver, if you are diversifying, are going to put you
bullshit.
in a lot better
Gold and silver is not going to bullshit. Gold and silver is not going to save your ass if there's major power grids going down and there's major catastrophe.
Agreed.
I know we're going to have a lot more to worry about.
At that point,
people are going to transact.
Food and ammunition, and those are the two things that you can guarantee that if there's a world catastrophe, those will be the things that will be traded.
I take profit.
I'll take your car's bowls here, and I'll give you my food and my bowls.
One at a time.
That's just bullshit.
I almost agree with that. Let me tell you what the number one thing will be in any catastrophe. No one really thinks about this. Is extremely important. If you want to go doom and gloom, the number one thing you should keep for currency and survival, are you ready for this? It's antibiotics and painkillers. No one's going to let their kid die of a fever, and that's probably going to be one of the most important things, because that's going to be one of the most scarce things at the time. So forget silver, forget all that. Get some paracetamol, get some antibiotics, because not only for yourself and your family, but believe me, people will give Rolexes.
But everything that was mentioned, anything that's a barterability, like alcohol, tobacco.
Let me just hop in here really quick, because now we're talking about survival of catastrophes, and really we're just
doesn't that make the bear market sound? Doesn't that make the bear market sound kind of like mild compared to?
BJ, can you flip those lights back to green, please?
I thought we were trying to make everybody feel better. Let's just be on the apocalypse.
There we go.
Cigarettes and tobacco, gold and silver. Let's move on.
There we go. Okay, so one of the things that we need to figure out is how are we going to get more money into the ecosystem, right? Because retail dried up. No one's putting new money in. Obviously, this event could change things. People could say, all right, now this is the buying opportunity that we've been waiting for. But we really need institutional money to jumpstart this, right? I would think, to get us back over at least a true $2 trillion. Yeah, Tom, I would love to hear what you got to say.
I think the answer is obvious. Well, for one, retail never enters at the cheap prices. We're sitting here saying, great DCA opportunity, great dip buying, but retail never enters at the bottom. They always enter at the top. So we're probably preaching to silence there. I think the answer is obvious here. ETF, a physical ETF, I think is what this market's waiting for. It is the institutional on-ramp that could provide all kinds of very unusual price movements. I was thinking it was last year. The SEC is taking around with this, and Grayscale has actually filed suit against them. And I can't name the clause off of the top of my head, but basically their standing is there is some kind of language where if you have a futures ETF, you, I think, have to have the actual asset ETF as well. There's something along those lines. I'm not a lawyer, but that's the catalyst in my opinion, and I'd love to hear what everybody else has got.
Well, I think that's great, and I think you are right. I think in order to someone has to own the assets to back up that ETF. That's what you were saying, right, Tom?
They're suing him. Like it's over that. I don't know the technicals, but it's like the gist. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I mean, the ETF and the XRP case, I mean, the Ripple case with SEC, I think are two of the main things holding the markets back from going in full fury. I mean, we've mentioned that many times. The XRP Ripple case is a big deal, but yeah, the ETF deal. But I mean, you got to also think like once they were able to get the future stuff going, it was January of 2018 or December of 2017, and there was even news articles that had come out, I think sometime in 2018, saying that the Trump administration had allowed for the futures trading so that they could help halt where Bitcoin was at the time. So there's a lot of manipulation that goes on, and even the governments take advantage of things. I mean, and I can forward these articles to people if they're interested in reading them. Yeah, because the government's definitely, I mean, we're seeing this thing play out. I mean, this is a complete threat to the system, 100%. Yep. And we're just down where when you back a wild animal in a corner, what happens?
They get vicious.
And I kind of think we're at that point, like where right now it's like kind of like the final big battle, because I mean, we're at such a pivotal period in history with our monetary system and where things can be going and going into a digital direction, and seeing a lot of the politicians and the different things that people are presenting, even the idea that preventing the governments and the Federal Reserve from issuing any sort of digital currencies. There's a lot of powerful, interesting things happening that people need to be paying attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. Rice, if you would DM me those articles, I'd love to take a look at them. Yeah. We're getting close to being at the end of time. Is there anybody that wants to say anything additional, where you're feeling, where we're at this particular moment? I know it's a little bit different of an episode this week. Thank you guys for being in the chat and watching. Thanks for being here and letting us know how you feel, because I know a lot of people are scared right now. But go for it, Paul. What do you got?
I have a question. You asked earlier on, or what catalyst do we need? And we're talking about ETFs, we're talking about this, we're talking about that, Ripple case. What about just pure greed? When did greed stop being a catalyst? Yeah, the catalysts, all catalysts are just excuses of greed. People take opportunity on events and then people just say, okay, it happened because of this. What's wrong with just pure greed? My dog agrees.
Nothing.
I don't think
got something too.
He's worried about Dogecoin.
Yeah. I don't think that there's anything wrong with greed. I think that, it could be a problem. You guys tell me, what do you think about that question?
Man, it's a big part of human nature. I don't think we can get away from it. I mean, right now we have not evolved to the point that, everybody feels like they're fighting to have, when everybody has everything, there won't really be the need for greed.
Yeah.
But until somebody has something, as long as somebody else, as long as somebody else has something that someone wants, there's always going to be greed. Yeah. It's just one of those things with human nature, unfortunately.
When we started this show, Bitcoin was literally falling.
Right? So
where are we at now?
We're literally falling. And I think everyone here said, take a deep breath. And guess what? Here's some great value that around the blockchain is delivered to you. Bitcoin hasn't fallen anymore. I'm not saying it's immediately going back up, but I think you guys should smash those likes, because you just might have saved some money panic selling the exact wick. There you go.
BitSquad, Tom, I love that. Absolutely. If you like Bitcoin holding its position right now, if you want Bitcoin and Ethereum and the rest of your favorite cryptos to stay exactly where they're at right now, you make sure that you like this video. And you also make sure that you follow Tom, Rice, Crypto Factor, and Crypto Stache. All right.
You keep your Lambo.
Keep your Lambos.
You get to keep your Lambo.
That's a nice one.
There you go. There you go.
That's today's Lambo, right? You
all right, Rice. Rice, you are at the top of the point total for today. Thank you for all you guys, Tom, Rice, Crypto Factor, Paul, and Stache. Thank you guys for all of your input today and all of your information and sentiments. It was great. But Rice, you did lead today with the points. So send everybody out with a little bit of a parting thought.
Thank you. I mean, it's always a pleasure to be on the show. Make sure you guys are checking out all the other guest channels, follow social medias. Make sure you're checking out RiceTVx and my backup channel, RiceTVx too. zoom out, spend time with your friends and family. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, take care of your mental health, because ultimately, if you zoom out, we are going up in the long term. So it's all about love. It's the weekend. Enjoy yourself, no matter what happens.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. That's one of my favorite things to sign this show off with, is a little bit of mental health check. It is the weekend, so make sure you get yourself some fresh air. Tom, Rice, Paul, Stache, thank you so much for joining us today. Guys, do what you can to make sure that you don't panic sell this weekend. Things, when in doubt, zoom out. Things will come back. The markets will recover at some point. No one knows when, but it will happen soon. Have yourself a fantastic weekend, and we will be back here on Monday at 5 p.m. for Around the Blockchain on BitBoy Crypto. We'll see you next time.
Bye, Felicia.
BitSquad.